Hi, and welcome back to the CAFMA Connect. I am Training Captain Eric Merrill for the last time because today I have coerced and threatened our last recruit to be here with us today. Emilio, glad to have you. And then the hardest thing was getting this giant house of a human being, Russ Smith, in here today because he has been, for a big guy, you're pretty quick at ducking and dodging people that need things from you, like being on the podcast.
Yeah, I tried to just dodge out right now.
Yeah, he did. He was like the Kool-Aid man trying to run through the door. We would have had just one giant imprint through the wall. You can't afford those type of renovations, you know that.
Yeah, I'm well aware of the budget.
yes, thank you. Awesome. Well, we're glad to have everybody back with us. Again, if you like this content, like and subscribe. Follow us on all of our social media platforms. And let's move on ahead with the podcast because we got to get you guys back to the training center.
Sure.
Okay, what are you doing today, Emilio?
Water tender operations, so learning how to drive the tenders, operate them, pumping them, just basically anything you could do with them. Yeah, just doing that all day, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been a busy week because you guys, this is the second day.
Yes, sir.
You guys have been doing that. And then what'd you guys do on Monday?
Monday, same thing. We do so much. There's plenty to
It's
say.
just all blurring into one.
Yeah, it blurs into one.
That's become a common theme
Yeah.
between all the recruits coming in. It's like, it's one giant blur, and we don't even know what week it is. So, awesome. Well, Emilio, go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody because we're all dying to know who you are, what you're about.
Okay, yeah, my name is Emilio Estrada. I'm 23 years old. I grew up here. I did sports in high school. I did cross-country track for a little bit. Like to fish a little bit, snowboard when I can, especially right now that the snow's good. And started off in a fast food job right after high school. And
Which one? Let me interrupt and ask which fast food?
It was Taco Bell.
Okay.
Yeah, I did that for a while. And so I was always like in customer service, did that for a while, but I always knew that I wanted to do more. And thankfully I had a friend that he was working with the Forest Service, and he told me, he was like, hey, take the S-130-190 class at the AWEMA Academy. And I just decided to take it, fell in love with it. That was my introduction to fire. So I worked with the State Forestry for 3 seasons. Loved every day of that. It was super fun. Got to travel all over the country. So really enjoyed that. But I knew that I wanted to continue going up in my career and stuff. So I know that the next step was maybe go structure. So I went back to school, took my EMT class at Yavapai, just finished the Fire 1 and 2 through Yavapai as well, and ended up testing here and thankfully landed here.
Oh, that's great. And so you work for the Forest Service, and we have a lot of people that have been hired full-time here over decades, actually, that actually started their careers with the Forest Service. Yep. I don't know that anybody started their career at Taco Bell, but that's just another testament to the diversity that we bring into CAFMA. Everybody's got a background. I mean, I know somebody here who, you went to Embry-Riddle, right?
Yes, my path initially I wanted to be a fighter pilot, and then I met my wife, Mandy, who will be married. Shout out to her, 20 years coming up in June, so beat you to happy anniversary.
There you go, good for you, yeah.
Met her, and kind of my life went a different way. Went to Merrill, got a degree. My initial plan was to continue the pilot path, and then worked in air traffic for 10 years before I took the leap into the fire service.
Yeah, so I mean, it takes all kinds to do this. Let me ask you this, Emilio. Have you started doing jiu-jitsu?
No, not at all. I picked up pickleball, though. So
okay, so out of all the options, you went with pickleball, but jiu-jitsu is an option still for you, right?
It is an option, but I'm too skinny. I might break an arm or something right away. So
let me give you a tip. In jiu-jitsu, apparently, if you extend your arms out, you'll break your arm.
I've heard that before.
So, and I don't want to brag, but I did karate when I was like 6, so I'm kind of a ninja master myself. But anyway, there's still time for you to do jiu-jitsu because we just had Dan on here, and so I'm sure he would love to get you in the gym. Yeah,
I would like to go one day, try it out, see if I'll like it or not. So
okay, good.
It does seem fun, though. There's a couple of recruits that go, so I'd like to join them at least once.
Yeah, well, we got full-time firefighters that come do it now. He said he's got somebody from Phoenix Fire. I mean, we're just going to start our own, maybe we can break down some more walls here and create like a ninja gym. Jonah, is that a possibility?
Sure, anything's possible.
Anything is possible here at CAFMA. Do you hear that, people? That is, oh my gosh. If
I
that's
do
not
like
a
to
plug.
break down walls, so.
Yes, you do. You run straight through them. Yes, 100%. And roll up garage door, bay doors.
That too.
We have stories about that. I have so many stories on Russ, which is how I got him to come here today. So awesome. Well, Emilio, thanks for being here, buddy. And again, if you work for the Forest Service or anything like that, we have plenty of people that have started their careers in the Forest Service. It translates really well because I'm here to tell you, anybody who does wildland firefighting, my hat's off to you because that is some absolutely hard work, and you're gone a lot from your families in the summertime. So if you get to a point where you're wanting something more stable and you want to be home at nights or weekends or something like that, this is a great transition, I guess, to come into the structural side. We still have avenues and opportunities for people to still go off district in the summertime. So that's great. So awesome. Thanks, Emilio.
Thank you.
And Russ, go ahead and introduce yourself. I know you shared a little bit of your background in education, but go ahead and walk us through who you are and what you're about and why do you break stuff.
My name is Russ Smith. I'm an engineer, paramedic, obviously with CAFMA. I'm 6 going on 7 years. I'm married, like I said, almost 20 years to my wife, Mandy. I've got 2 young boys, Rocco and Max.
They're not young much anymore.
No, they're not. You're right. Rocco's in high school, so yeah, 3-4 more years of kids at home, I guess, and then an empty nest.
Yeah.
Hobbies. One thing that's kind of interesting to me is in my last career that you pointed out, I found that my hobbies took over a lot of my life outside of work because I was not enjoying work as much at work, or my life as much at work. So I looked forward to those opportunities, every opportunity I had to get away, whereas with the fire service, I've noticed that it's quite the opposite. As soon as I got to the fire service, I realized that not only is it a very family-based organization, so my family can be a part of that, but my passion now went from all the things I can do and all the trips I can do outside to get away to being passionate with my career. So it's kind of nice when they go hand in hand, when my passion lies with my employment, I guess.
Yeah, 100%.
And like you all have seen, there was a day where Emilio and I were working on some things off duty, and I was able to bring my boys in and let them go through the maze with you, and that's just a true testament to who we are as an organization.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. And so I'm going to say this. I'm going to say a lot of things about Russ because he's one of the most humble, nicest people I've ever met in my life. But Russ is basically involved in every single division, facet, philanthropical event that we have and that we've done the entire 6-7 years that he's been here. Would you do me a favor? Because if you don't, I will. Just run down a list of some of the things you're involved in with our organization, please.
So right now I'm recruit training officers, probably one of the coolest things I've been involved with, honestly. To me, that the reason that's important to me is that it gives me an opportunity. Once you promote, you're not roving around as much. You're not getting to know people as much. As new guys come in, this gives me an opportunity to build relationships with those guys, with their families, get to really know them. And that way when they go on the engine, when I show up on scene, I know who I'm working with. And I'm going to be working the next 25 years with Emilio here. So recruit training officer. I'm on the honor guard. That's something that means a lot to me as well. We go to Colorado Springs every year for the Fallen Firefighter Memorial.
Mm-hmm.
But we also celebrate too. We celebrate retirements, graduations. We'll be celebrating years coming up here. And Fire Pal, I've had the opportunity to be a Fire Pal at Granville Elementary while my boys were going to school there, which was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
One, it allowed me to kind of keep my finger on the pulse of what was going on at the school, what was going on with my boys there. But they got to have their dad, kind of as their hero at school, which is really cool. What else here? Mask fit test program. I did that for a little while. I've transitioned that on.
All sorts of union work you've done.
Oh, union work. I've been a trustee. He's held a
union position his entire career thus far.
Yep, communications director. I've been doing that. I still am the communications director. I've been a trustee. That gave me a lot of opportunities to interact with some of our senior administration, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of insight into our budget and how things work and why they work the way they work, why it's so important to be involved with our community. That's another thing that I try and communicate and pass on to our guys coming through the academy, just how important it is to interact with our community and be out there in a positive light. Realizing the engine we're driving down the road, like we've talked about this week with driving those water tenders, is a big billboard. But also being out there, fill the boot and smiling, shaking hands, parades, driving the engines, taking your family along with you, having them. My wife, my boys, my family, and friends have all really enjoyed that. There are so many. I think I counted it up. Right now, I coordinate all the events throughout the year, and I think we have right around 30 events that we do throughout the year. And that's a very important part of what we do, is maintaining that relationship with our community, not only in our response model, which is why we train, right? So that we're prepared to respond appropriately, and whether it's a car fire, structure fire, or medical call, you're trained and capable to do that once you're out of the academy. But also building that relationship outside of the on-duty environment, off-duty, and building that trust within our community.
That's great. And you brought up so many good points, and I want to capitalize on a couple of those. But I'm going to get back to Emilio here for just a second, because you talked about community so much, and that's one thing that we really pride ourselves on outside of being a family-first organization. But Emilio, in your oral board, you had a phenomenal answer, which is absolutely authentic and genuine of you, of one of your reasons why CAFMA. So would you go ahead and articulate what you want to do with your role as a firefighter here in CAFMA?
Yeah, so a role that I want to include in this organization and throughout our community is due that I'm Hispanic. I want to bring that along to the Hispanic community, that it's okay to call 911. You know, I grew up always told, hey, never call 911, call us instead, even if there was an emergency, right? Or sometimes we just kept our mouths shut. And that's something how I grew up. I know that's how a lot of Hispanic families grow up, in the fact that they fear like a repercussion. And that's not the case. You always want to call 911 when you need it, right? Because you never know what's going to happen out there. So that's something I want to include in this community, the fact that you could trust us. You could trust CAFMA. You could trust the firefighters, because our job is to help and be a part of the community. So anyone that fears calling 911, that's not the case. We're here to help, and that's something that I want to progress throughout my career and just show that to the community.
Yeah, and you've proven that every bit of this academy, that is exactly who you are, Emilio, and the type of firefighter you're going to be, and a future leader in this organization, but also in this community. And I could even see you going down some of the few, hopefully not as many routes as Russ here, in terms of all the philanthropic events that we do and just being engaged in the community, because Russ does it for the right reasons. Sure. So some of those opportunities, though, that's just what makes CAFMA as special as it is because it does empower everybody here to be able to jump in and help any type of event, any type of division. So those are all great things to be a part of with this organization as we continue to grow and evolve. So that's great. Well, so Emilio, would you go ahead and walk us through, we kind of have your why of CAFMA, but walk us through, how was the testing process for you? Because you're the one anomaly in the group that you were in the Fire 1 and 2 Academy, but you hadn't tested yet. So you're actually in this position where, okay, I got my dream job. They're going to teach me the Fire 1 and 2, but I'm already, 3/4 of the way through. What do I do? So walk us through your decision-making in that point, and what did you do?
Right. So my situation was a little different. Like you said, I was already enrolled in the 1 and 2 through Yavapai, and I think I had about a month left when I got picked up with Central. And to me, the biggest thing of not wanting to leave the 1 and 2 through Yavapai is that I made such great connections, and I've built these great relationships with my friends in there. And I had a month left. I was like, well, I just don't want to let that go. And by that, it was kind of different, because when I started the CAFMA Academy, it was basically like working overtime. I'd start at 5 a.m. and then I'd be getting out of class at 10 p.m. So it was tough at first, but I got the hang of it. And like I said, I just didn't want to let go of those relationships. So I was able to finish that off, and then tested through the 1 and 2 through Yavapai, and just continued academy through Central. So it kind of gave me a different perspective, because I was kind of ready for this academy, going through it. It was still fresh to me, but it was able for me to like connect the dots basically through the second time. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And you did a really great job. Have you got your test results back yet from the state?
Not yet.
Okay.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah. Hopefully we're all sitting on pins and needles, because I would hate for this podcast to come out and then like that day it's like we put a disclaimer on the bottom like, and Emilio actually received he did not pass.
No, there's a hope. Pray for me. I feel good, but pray for me.
You make some type of like reveal on the podcast? Or
at some point when all the test results come in, I'll just like barge in like Russ would in the room and be like, here's the results, they passed. And
I'm relatively confident you're going to pass, right?
Yeah, I feel good.
I'll say this, if nobody passes, just blame it on the training captain.
No, not at all. It's on me.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, but we will just blame it on the training captain. So Russ, back to you, buddy.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Not much. I'm sitting here doing a podcast with you.
You're so not wanting to be here, and I'm just glad that you're here. So walk us through your perspective as an RTO. I mean, we've been sitting here for I don't know how many weeks now. I could if I was good at math, but I'm not. I'm not good at math. I'm not good at karate. But let's talk about like leading up to where we are today. You come in as an RTO. You have all this new perspective that we've been getting for weeks now from the recruits just on their side. So what's it like on your side through that lens of a TO, watching them go from very green, or some of them had nothing outside of the EMT, so they had nothing or no expectations coming into it. Their growth, their evolution, challenges, all the way up to where we are today. We're only a few weeks from graduating. So would you share with us what it's like through your lens?
Yeah, so this is the second time I've been through it, and it's always interesting because they kind of follow the same progression as you go from start to finish. As we start out, day one, you guys come in, you're all a little nervous, excited. You don't know one another. You're all looking to prove one another, set yourself apart, but you don't know how. And as that progresses, and then you realize, especially with this academy, we had 5 of the cadets that had their Fire 1 and 2 and 5 that didn't. So there's a little bit of an imbalance starting out, not quite a level playing field is what I would say. And as an RTO, it was, coming into that environment, it was this is going to be interesting as we progress through this academy. But as we progress through, your confidence level builds. You realize that you came in thinking, well, I went through Fire 1 and 2, some of you, and I've got this certain level of confidence. And then as you go through some of the drills together, you realize, oh, I've got a few things to work on here or there. But what's interesting at this point is you've all built to a point where you've leveled the playing field. Your confidence has come up, and the personalities are starting to come out, which I think is always a part of the process right around the midpoint of the academy. And then it becomes managing the personalities, interacting, and learn how to communicate, right? And that's a big part of our job. We work 24-hour shifts. So you're coming into work and not only working a full day together, but then potentially running calls throughout the evening together where you're tired and grumpy, and that's where those personalities come in. So seeing you guys work through that's been a lot of fun. And then that kind of morphs into the end of the academy where we now fine-tune, polish all of your skills and knowledge to the point that you're relatively confident coming out of the academy and stepping on the engine day one, and hopefully have the minimum tools that you need to be successful day one, but more importantly the tools to we've talked about this a lot, right, as far as keeping you, we do this to keep you safe. Number one, we've done the save your own drill.
Oh yeah, that comes up almost every podcast. Our recruits, they say that was our funnest day. That was the most fun.
Yeah, and it is a lot of fun, and it's fun to challenge you guys. A few of you pulled me up the stairs, and that was pretty cool. But the reality of that training is that that's worst case scenario, just like the maze drill, right? Hopefully, all the training that we're doing prior to that is going to alleviate that or stop that occurrence from ever happening, where we have to save your road, we have to be in conditions like the maze drill, in wire entanglement and low clearance obstacles. We should never really be in those situations. But your safety, but that also translates into the crew safety, and ultimately our community safety, and ensuring that we're showing up doing the right thing for the community that we serve. So that's kind of my goal. It's a lot of fun going through the academy with you guys. And by far, what I get out of it is not only does it help, build me as a firefighter engineer in my career, but the relationships. Like I said before, I get to know you, your families, and by the end of it, we walk out. We have your graduation, and we walk out as kind of a unit that have those relationships that carry us through the rest of our career.
What's really cool is if we actually did like a final, which this is probably it, like the final podcast of the Recruit Academy, but there's so many people that are involved in these academies that you would almost have to do like an end credits of a movie where just like listed all the names and everybody that was involved in this, because we've got a bunch of RTOs that come in. We even have people that aren't necessarily RTOs that will come in and speak on behalf of like the mental health side or on the cancer prevention side, and they'll kind of give a testimonial from their perspectives. So it's really neat to kind of have anybody and everybody come in that has something to offer, maybe even just for a little bit, and then they're leaving a little bit of a legacy on you guys and a little bit of a fingerprint on the academy. So it's kind of like, many hands are involved and it takes a village. But, like one of those things, and I'll talk about this in terms of challenges that we haven't addressed yet, is when we started this academy, I mean, we are, I hope at some point getting out of this problem, but there's supply chain issues. And when we hired 10 of you, everybody was hired at one point in the summer with we hired you in fall with, I'm thinking about this year's academy. I'm already done with you guys. I'm moving on to the next academy. But you guys got hired around October with a November start date. Well, we had 10 brand new people that we had to get sized, fitted, and then order bunkers and things like that for. And typically, traditionally, I should say, we have 2 sets of bunker gear. because when we're doing burns and things like that, we need to take it into the warehouse and get them washed so you have another set to work in and you have to take a day off. We don't have time for days off. So to get all those things, like just our uniforms, let alone our equipment and gear for the academy, that takes a lot of work and planning ahead of time, which we just don't have, and that's time to do things like that. So these are challenges that we're going to have to work with again moving forward in our next academy. But I just want to say this though, because of the work we do with the cancer prevention side, is a big thank you to the warehouse and the work that they do. So Eric Trujillo, Josh Gentle. We got Jake the Snake with that. I saw him yesterday. I drove past him. His beard is legitimately like out to here now. But we have a group of awesome dudes that work in the warehouse that their job is when we finish a Class A burn, we bag up all our gear. We have to break it down a certain way. So just a reminder to anybody out at CAFMA that's not breaking them down this certain way, you're gonna be exposed. But no, it's that kind of work that the warehouse does to hurry and get that gear cleaned for our recruits so we can get back to work on Monday morning.
Yeah, and I don't think, I know for myself, coming into the fire service, that's something that I didn't realize right out of the gate. I didn't realize, I did a lot of homework. This is the only place I wanted to be. I knew what CAFMA was about, but I didn't realize how we compared to other agencies, organizations, not only throughout the state, but throughout the country. It wasn't until I went to training out, on the West Coast, out training on the East Coast, started interacting with some of the departments that I viewed as bigger departments that should have a lot more resources, a lot of the programs and things that we have, coming back from that training and realizing, wow, we really have a lot going for us here. Peer support, peer fitness, the gyms in every station, training center, Fire Ops 101. We've got so many different programs, and like you said, we've got a warehouse division that is just taking on one thing after another, the hose testing and all these mask fit testing. But fleet, we've got an entire fleet department, which is an engineer I really appreciate, because anytime something goes wrong with my engine that I can't handle, I mean, they're out there lickety split. And we've got a really great group of guys with our fleet department as well, Dominic and Travis and Chris. Real good group of guys that truly care. They are a part of this family. A lot of really good things going on here.
Yeah, I think if we actually did that credits roll at the end of this podcast, is when you incorporate every single division that's had a fingerprint on this academy, there's not one that's left out. I've had to reach out to finance for just different questions when we line these academies up, making sure that when the academy lines up with when you graduate and go to the engine, is this going to line up with payroll? It cause them any issues? The warehouse has been phenomenal. I've had to get the help of IT comms at least 3 times so far in less than 7 days. I'm not a tech person. I'm not good at math. I have a lot more flaws that is getting exposed in this podcast, but hold on to my job for a little while longer. But I think, Titus has legitimately come out and helped me more times than I've ever helped him. And so I'm sorry for that, Titus, but God bless all the divisions.
I've been on the phone 3-4 times this week with Jonah alone, so yeah.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, and I want to just give the biggest props to Jonah, because one, he's been babysitting us throughout all these podcasts, but there is not one thing that Jonah can't do. And just the things, even the simplistic things, probably to him, but seem so overwhelming to us, like our organization switching from a .org to a .gov. I don't know what that means or entails, but that makes us sound so much more official, being that we're a .gov, right? So, so I got the approval from Jonah. So, no.
I also know Russ's phone number by heart. So,
so you know when to hit ignore. It just says do not answer.
I kind of wondered why I had to call 3-4 times.
He's the only person I know with a cell phone with that prefix, so it's pretty.
Yeah, there you go. So. I think this is just a great. I didn't intend for this to happen, but I think we'd be fools if we didn't take an opportunity to just thank everybody who had something to do with this academy, and for all the academies in the future. And again, many apologies if I left you out of this, but literally everybody in our organization had some sort of a fingerprint on this.
I mean, it had been they pay our paychecks, so I guess they deserve a shout out as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, the girls in admin, when you walk into admin, if you don't have any juicy gossip or something really funny to say or something, like they're going to swarm you and they're going to put you in a corner. Like they need us to come in there and give them some good feedback, make lighten their day up a little bit.
I have found every time I go in there, I can't get in and out without at least 15 hugs. So
yeah, that's the absolute best. But now, awesome people everywhere you look, and we couldn't be more proud and blessed. So with that, I want to talk about a couple things with the Academy, Emilio. We talked every single week. We talk about save your own. That always comes up. And Russ, thank you for bringing that up. The whole point is save your own. It's only one day, because everybody always asks, well, why can't we get more days in this? And it's like, well, because I'd rather spend 14 weeks and 3 days teaching you how not to get in this situation. But everybody really enjoys that day. The live fire days, everybody talks about that. But let's talk a little bit about what's going to go on Monday. We're going to do a 24-hour shift at Carta. What do you know about that?
Yeah, from what I know, it's basically to see like how well of a roommate you are, because you got other individuals staying the night with you, and just see how you could bond with them even more, or if you're not, right? So from what I know, it's going to be a busy day. I know there's going to be a lot of tasks throughout the day. So, you're still at work, even though you're going to be there for 24 hours. You don't want to get complacent. And from what I know is that just be ready for any task given at any time of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's basically an audition, I guess, or a mock 24-hour shift of what it's like to actually be at the station for 24 hours, where during the day you're busy, you're doing inspections, you're checking hydrants, you're training, you're doing all these things throughout the day. And then even in the evening when you think it's time to relax, we're going to eat our meals. We might try to catch some TV or just, try to catch up with each other. There might be chores we didn't get to throughout the day, but everything is dictated by our calls. Emergency calls are our number one priority. And so everything you're doing, you have to be at the drop of a hat ready to jump into the truck and go respond to an incident. And you may not come back until the next morning. So those are all things that you have to be ready and prepared for. So that's why we do that, is to kind of get your mindset before you go to the engine. So you're not learning on day one, you kind of get a rehearsal, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So we're excited about that. And then let's talk to, just before we wrap up, your second to last day, you guys are split into two groups and you guys are doing presentations. Can you walk us through a little bit what your presentations are on?
Yeah, so we have our presentation in the group that I have is about mental health. I know that's a very big topic going on in the firefighter world and in the world in general. Yeah. And it's basically a presentation for us to learn information about it and be able to present that for anyone that doesn't know, because there is a lot of resources out there and people don't know that. And it's sad that we have to talk about it, but it's a real subject. So yeah, it goes way into depth. It's not just any other presentation that we've done before in any other class. It's a serious topic, and I know the other group, it's I think on cancer prevention, if I'm correct. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they're serious topics, and we just want to be able to give information to the community and anyone that has questions about it, and just be able to help them the best we can.
Absolutely. So the whole ideology behind those presentations is that you guys do the legwork, and you find out from the moment that you recognize maybe you have an issue that you just can't get over from the mental health side. Like, who's my first phone call? What do I do? What's this process? Because it's becoming more and more prevalent, and it's okay. It's okay both ways. It's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to be fine. But we just want to give you all the tools that whichever line you're on, how do you make sure you're always fine, or that you can watch those events and make sure that you're on the straight and narrow. And if there is ever an opportunity or a time that maybe you just need to just do a checkup, or maybe you see that you need to start asking for help, what's your process to do that? And what's our EAP plan? What are our resources? How do we access those resources? Where do you find this? That's the whole point of those presentations, is for you good people to do legwork, present it in a PowerPoint, and then that gets shared amongst the group and really anybody in the organization that wants it. So everybody has that key information of what to do and what's the process. And same thing with the cancer prevention side. There's been a lot of great work at state legislature. We have fantastic resources and a great EAP program. So it's just to give you a checklist, so to speak, and a template for, if I have this issue, how do I go about getting help for it? And then, we never leave anybody alone. We can walk with you hand in hand in lockstep with all of our resources, and make sure the families are also in lockstep with everybody too. So we're excited about those presentations. I can't wait to see what you guys put out there for us. And it's just going to be the recruits and Russ and I that day. And we're just going to fine tune a few things. There's going to be a last grinder, which we've talked about the grinder a few times. So if you want information on that, I think Tia explains it or articulates it maybe the best. And then we're going to have your graduation on February 16th.
Yeah. Excited.
So,
it's coming close.
It's coming quick. So, Emilio, we're proud of you, buddy. You've done a great job in this academy, and I'm excited to see what you do in the next year and in the next 24 and a half.
Thank you.
All right. Russ, love you, buddy. Glad that you're here. I guarantee you did so well that you're probably going to have your own podcast at some point. I think it'll be a podcast of Russ and Chief Parr's mustache.
Well, let's hope not, yeah. But
I think Chief Freitag or somebody will probably bring you in again, because there's so much that you offer to the organization. You do so many great things for us that I can see you at some point when you're chief officer and probably chief of this outfit. You'll be leading these things up. But we just thanks for all the work that you do, and you're just a dang good friend too. So
Thank you.
I'm gonna shout that on the mountaintops. So any closing remarks for us?
No, have a great weekend. Let's finish this academy strong.
Okay, awesome. All right, so everybody like and subscribe. Thanks for putting up with me, and God bless and keep our recruits in your prayers as they move on with their careers. And thanks for watching the CAFMA Connect.